السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In my previous conversations, we've discussed a little bit about the objectives of the Sharia, maqasid al-Sharia. And we talked a little bit about how the sciences for social studies and math and all those things are among the things that are necessary to be acquired to be able to achieve the maqasid al-Sharia, the objectives of Sharia. But there are implications of those maqasid for each of us individually and as a collective. If the Sharia is guiding us towards certain things, certain goals and objectives for a society, then there are things that each of us individually is supposed to do, contribute towards that. In fact, if there is a certain need in a community, and there is a way to achieve that within the community, but that need is not being addressed because an initiative has not been taken, then it could be that the entire community is responsible for that in terms of accountability. To understand some of the things that the Sharia is guiding us towards and the social responsibility that each of us has, it's important for us to look through the Quran and the example of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, and those who try to follow Islam moving forward thereafter. But for today, I just want to give you one example, and that is the example of zakat. I would like some participation on this one. So, who knows the categories of the eligible recipients of zakat?
Say again.
What are the eligible recipients of zakat? Huh? Al-miskin or masakin, okay.
Me,
Yeah.
traveler,
A traveler, okay. What kind of traveler?
I don't know, from what I've read, like wayfarer, which I'm not sure what means, like.
Okay. Something related to a traveler, okay. We'll get to that one. So, what's another one?
محتاجين والمساكين.
Okay, masakin and al-fuqara. Okay, al-fuqara and masakin. The person who is in desperate need, and a person who can make ends meet potentially but is struggling. Huh?
Those in debt.
What you said?
In debt.
Oh, the person in debt. That's a very powerful one. What else? العاملين عليها, the ones who are working towards making sure that zakat is being distributed.
لو الفضل واليتامى. أوفونا.
Huh?
اليتامى. أوفونا.
Orphans? Is orphan one of them? المؤلفة قلوبهم, yeah. So the people, if you want to settle people's hearts towards Islam, towards the Muslims and so on, so giving money there, or anything related to that. Yeah, we mentioned, yeah, العاملين عليها, yeah. Yeah.
Although we mentioned the yatama, we should say that yatama can be rich.
Mm.
Somebody can be an orphan and rich. They are
Yeah.
not rich. That's why it's not a category. Either they will come under masakin or under fuqara.
Mm.
Yatama per se will not be there because yatama can be rich. The orphans, maybe money was left for them.
Yeah, so Dr. Hisham just added in that the reason that yatama or aitam are not included, the orphans are not included, is because an orphan could be rich.
It's included, but just the exception. They are rich.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So they'll fall into one of the categories. Yeah, one of the other categories. Let's talk about the debt category. A person who has debt. Imagine if you came to a community, and this is what I'm working towards. So we talked a little bit about what kind of society that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to have us build. Through these objectives, what kind of society is being instituted essentially. If one of the things in this society, let's say you go visit the society wherein the Sharia is being implemented, people are trying to follow Islam, trying to live Islam, implement Islam. In this society, if you're struggling, you'll feel like you have somebody that will take care of you. In fact, the concept of zakah is really interesting because the entire community is supposed to put together money, and then anybody in the community who's in need gets a share of that money. So if I feel like any time I need something, everyone in the community's money contributions is going to come to help me. Imagine a society where you feel that kind of support, that kind of brotherhood. If you have debt because you were struggling, imagine you were in COVID-19 and people are struggling in that time period. Or in any disaster, if you go to the aftermath of hurricanes, for example in Florida, or if you go overseas in certain parts where they have devastation because of tsunamis or whatever. Imagine if they had money that was set aside, if anybody is struggling, come to us, we will take care of you. When it comes to the contributions of everyone, imagine what kind of feeling a person who's living there would have. Anytime that anybody is struggling, we will all contribute towards that person. When it comes to maqasid sharia, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us some instructions that we can derive objectives from it. What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala trying to get us to do? In this society, for example, just with the concept of a person who has debt, just with that concept, imagine the feeling a person would have if they had some money that they could get access to if they were in need. Imagine building a society on the concept of looking out for one another and taking care of one another. But then there are implications beyond just instituting, just saying that, okay, we're going to have zakah, somebody's going to collect it and so on. Building a system that effectively makes sure that everyone in the community is taken care of requires us to have other fields and disciplines that we get involved in. So if it's a matter of understanding, for example, how to collect data about people so that we can make sure that everyone in the community is taken care of, what is this kind of system that we need to develop? What kind of disciplines do we need access to and mastery in to be able to develop such a system? So my goal today was to give you some understanding of how we can bridge the gap between what we consider otherwise Islamic and then other people have labeled as secular. In practice, if we want to really implement Islam in our society, we need to understand it's going to be more than just, for example, reading the Quran, praying and fasting, and that's it. When it comes to the action part of it, to apply the teachings of Islam, there needs to be an understanding of how to do it effectively. We need to understand what are systems that we need to develop to make sure that we're doing this, everything that Allah wants us to do in the Quran, doing it effectively. So today, I just wanted to kind of touch base on that, inshallah, and we'll continue in the next time. And how to take it from here to make sure that everything that we're doing, we're making sure that we're doing it in the most effective way. And that we're making sure that there's nothing that we're missing out on just because we've artificially labeled it as this is secular, this is not related to Islam, I'm not going to get involved in that. But rather looking at everything that might be necessary to achieve the goals of the Sharia, and trying to gain mastery in those things to the extent necessary to make sure that we're really following the objectives of Sharia. And that, so that at the end of the day, the society that's developed is one where you actually want to live and everyone else who's there wants to make sure that they're looking out for one another. Everyone feels welcome and included and taken care of. So the homework assignment that I'm going to give you, or just something to think about, is what are the things that you can do individually to contribute towards that end? What are the things that each of us can do to make sure that we're actively participating in developing such a society? And how do we do that in the way that's most effective? And that might require working together, and although sometimes that's very hard for us because oftentimes we might start our own organization or our own things, not really seeing them to other people doing the same. So what is the individual responsibility that I'm going to try to embody or try to fulfill so that I can have some stake in getting towards that society that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants? So I want you to think about that and think about the things that otherwise you might have sort of blocked out and put aside, that this is not going to be relevant to my getting into Jannah. And consider opening that again and reevaluating. Maybe that is helpful in making sure that we're achieving the objective of Sharia. And then start thinking about collaborating with other people and interacting with people just to kind of figure out what are good solutions that we can have for problems that the Sharia is aiming to resolve. So with that, inshallah, I'm going to conclude, but make sure when you go home, consider this and follow up on this and make sure that it doesn't stop here. Because if this conversation stops over here, then that society is never going to be realized. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك.